Oh my God. Hi. Welcome back to our podcast. In this week's episode, the topic is toxic friendships. Ooh. We're going to start like we do every episode with our oh my God highs and oh my God lows. And it's been a while, I think, right, Copes? Like,
in like 3 weeks, I think. Also, we're matching, so I just want to point that out. That was not on purpose. We're just like vibing. So my oh my God high of the last 3 weeks, there was a handful to choose from. So I was telling Jane that work has been slightly busy recently because I'm like getting ready to finish the current role that I'm in and start a new job, and so and like things in general have picked up. So it's been a busy week, and then this relates to my oh my God low, but last week things were especially crazy with some of the environmental disasters happening. And so
I don't know why I'm laughing.
I mean, it's just like, it's funny at this point. But I was talking to my manager and she was like, you know, if you want to take some time off, like totally fine, I get it, because you seem like you have a lot going on. And so I took a mental health day last week on Tuesday. I like slept in that day. I went to this webinar that I signed up for, and I just like caught up on a bunch of life stuff, like errandy things that I could never get into, including getting health insurance, because I forgot I don't have that for a month. And so it was just really nice. I like took everything super slow at my own pace. I like turned off my emails and all my notifications, and that did wonders. So I highly recommend. I feel like right now with work and life just being all at once, like it's really hard to separate. But you should like intentionally take the day off and not just kind of tell yourself like, oh, I'll take a couple hours off here and there. That's kind of what I was doing, like taking a longer lunch or something, but that didn't make up for how like relaxing and good the day off was.
I'm so glad you did that.
Thank you. Me too. I honestly wouldn't have thought about it unless my manager brought it up, which is horrible. I feel like we really need to like advocate for ourselves and like take those sick days and mental health days when we need them. What was your oh my God high?
It's kind of similar but different. It relates to the whole like disconnecting. Justin's family, they had booked this main trip, I think a while back before COVID, and so they invited me to go with them. So we went to York. I had never been to Maine before. I've been to Boston, but nowhere north of that. Just like physically being away from what I'm used to, like AKA my apartment, was really nice. Like literally just getting away, and it was very chill. We weren't like going to like stores or restaurants or anything for obvious reasons. It was mostly like staying in the house and going on like walks, but like staying away from other people. Thankfully, there weren't that many people around. Going to the beach, which also like socially distanced from everyone else. So it was really nice just to do that for a few days. It was like a little different from like the typical vacay, because like literally when we arrived, like we wiped everything down in the house, gloves, Clorox wipes, like we wiped the whole house down. But you know, it was really, really good.
That's super nice. Yeah. It's like important to take those breaks, like you were saying. And I've been like toying with the idea of like taking a few days and like just going out to like the city or to like Berkeley or somewhere that's like just different. But yeah, traveling during COVID makes it a little different.
When we don't need to do this anymore, and I hope it's sooner rather than later, like I will not take the simplicity of prior times for granted anymore.
I know. I hope I don't. I feel like we all might fall into a pattern of just like, oh yeah, I remember when that happened, and then we forget about it.
Yeah.
But like, I really hope that I'm able to be grateful for like hugging a friend.
Our oh my God lows of the 3 weeks. Copes, what was yours?
Okay, so this was like my big one that I alluded to earlier. Since I'm in California, in Northern California, there have been like a handful of fires throughout the state caused by, I think, something like 10,000 lightning strikes that happened. So there was like these storms, and then after the rain, there was all these like lightning strikes, and everything's super dry right now. And so the wildfires, like, California always has wildfires, but this year they were just like widespread. And so there was a wildfire really close to where I live. And so there was like an on and off like evacuation notice going on. And there was like, I don't know, just people were preparing to leave. And I was like watching it like a hawk. And it was just like a super high stress situation because I think it was like feeling like I had to like leave my home for the second time in this year, where like in New York, I was like, shoot, my school is kicking me out. I have to leave and pack up. And then it was like that same sense of urgency was like, okay, what's everything that's important to us? We need to pack it in the car and get ready to leave. So we already have like all of our like old photos and stuff in my car. We like packed up like our passports and like our birth certificates. And so it was just like a lot. And that was like super not fun. But luckily, the fires near me at least were contained. We're okay, but like the fires north of us are still spreading. The fire near us is spreading the other direction. It's more contained than it was before, but it's like not over yet. Honestly, like I commend the firefighters. That's a whole other thing with like how they were understaffed because of like not being able to use prison people for firefighting, but like
Why weren't they?
Because of COVID. Yeah, because COVID in the prisons, I guess, is so bad. So they were able to contain it pretty well and pretty quickly, which I was like honestly surprised by and was really grateful for.
My oh my god low is related to my oh my god high actually. I think just obviously it was so nice to be in Maine and like spend time with Justin and his family in a different location. It was so scenic and everything, but it made me reminisce about what summers were like for me growing up, whether it was like visiting family in California or like when I got older, it was visiting my family in Hong Kong and like Taiwan. And I usually do that over the summer because I'm lucky enough to have that long stretch of time as a teacher, but obviously wasn't able to this year. And so it just made me like, you know, reminisce and miss my family basically. Honestly, everyone's healthy, everyone is safe, and so that's really what I'm keeping in mind. Fingers crossed, like next year.
I know, that's so hard.
And technology helps, just being able to keep in touch whenever, right? Like back in the day when phone calls were expensive and video calls weren't a thing, like communication and keeping in touch with people far away like us also is made a lot easier with this technology. So I'm thankful for that.
Hoping you get to see your family soon.
I know. I was hoping for Christmas, but honestly at this point I really don't know. My Oh My God TV is not a TV show. It is a podcast. It is the Michelle Obama podcast. I honestly have no words for it. It's so good. I have only listened to, I think, 2 episodes actually. I listened to the Barack one, the first one. I listened to her friend one where they talked about their like being a woman. I haven't listened to her brother, so I've only listened to 2 so far, but it's incredible. And I love what she's doing with her platform. I love what she's doing in terms of like using her voice and her influence. It's so empowering and real. She talks about such relatable topics and issues, and I learned a lot about her. I learned a lot about current events as well, just like hearing her perspective and experience.
Yeah.
And it's just really nice. It's like a little insight into this like incredible former first lady.
She is so relatable. It's like strange to me. Like when she gets like worked up and angry about stuff and you're like, wait, that's the same stuff that I get worked up and angry about. And like she just like is so good at, I know she is like a normal citizen, but like relating to the experience of everyday people, which I guess is, I don't know, something I wouldn't expect of like a former first lady or president. But like her values are just like so in sync with like a lot of people's, and she's just so empathetic and like she's not afraid to like get emotional, which is like awesome. So my Oh My God TV also isn't a TV show, but it's actually, well, it's 2 different YouTubers that I discovered a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
The first is this girl named Kelly Stamps, and she is like the most hilarious person ever. She currently lives in New York City, but it's kind of like gone back and forth between New York and LA. And she's just this like super quirky, like unbothered, hilarious little 24-year-old who's just like living her life, and I would highly recommend people watch her. I think she took a break. She was like not doing so well mentally, and it's not only vlogs. She does like random how-to videos. She like self-defined as kind of like a comedian, so like she does like skits and stuff like that too.
Cool.
And the other person is someone that I think you'll really like, and actually already shared a video of his with you, but his name's Damon Dominique, and he lives in Paris, and his videos are in English and French, and he has this series called like Red Wine Talks, where he talks to his friends that I really love, and they just like chat about life, and he has really interesting friends. And he also is really into like languages, and he talks about like linguistic things in his videos because he like knows 4 or 5 different languages. He talked about the severe wharf hypothesis, which we have also talked about, I feel like. Mm-hmm. But he had this other channel with one of his like best friends from college, and the channel is called Damon and Joe, and they would like travel together, and they speak like I think a total of like 8 languages. So they like do videos in different languages, and it's like basically us, except I don't speak that many languages. And he's just like really cool, and he's also our age, so it's not like some like 20-year-old.
I bought something and I bought these glasses.
Oh my god, I love them.
Thank you. They are new glasses I got from this website called Jins that you told me about. They are a company that I think is designed in Japan, designed in Tokyo, and so that means that there's this whole line of eyeglasses they have that are made for East Asian facial features, because I have a huge problem with glasses in general. I'm very picky. You have personally been with me to Warby Parker, and we've tried on so many.
They all look great on her, but like I think it's the fit that's obviously the problem. But like I feel like your face is great for glasses.
God, thanks. I'm just like so picky. It has taken me a few years to get to this place where I found a pair that I actually like and would wear out.
My oh my god fave is leave-in conditioner. It's not even a specific brand. It's just something that I never used in my life for some reason.
You've never until now?
I always use like normal conditioner, and then I have like these random like really dry like weird pieces of hair. So I started using leave-in conditioner because I discovered it in my bathroom, and it's really helped those weird pieces of hair. I thought regular conditioner was like fine by itself, but it's not.
Maybe they're like formulating this so that you need everything.
Yeah, what the hell? I'm like off today, people, just so you know. It's like a Tuesday afternoon and it's full evening now.
Yeah.
And I'm struggling. So getting into our topic of toxic friendships, we're going to split it into 3 different parts. And the first is signs that a friendship is toxic.
So I came up with 5 signs that a friendship is toxic, and I have to say, Copel and I literally just talked about this just now, but I do think that on my own, it can be hard to identify a toxic friendship. And it usually, the realization comes like after I talk about it with like other friends who, other positive friends, and they identify it objectively for me. Having their objective opinion helps me realize it. So that is something that I'm working on. And it's hard when you're in the situation versus after the fact. I said that a friendship is toxic when you can't be yourself around this person, and you feel like you may be judged for saying certain things or doing certain things around them, and you have to like sort of filter every movement, everything you say around them, so you can't be yourself. People who don't respect your boundaries, whether it's physical, emotional, comfort level, anything, if you really don't feel comfortable doing something or going somewhere and your friend is like pushing you and almost like it feels like they're forcing you to do something you really are not okay with, I feel like that's also a sign. When it's not reciprocal, when nothing you do for them gets returned and it just feels very one-sided, like you're doing all these things to benefit them and their well-being, and it's really just not happening in return. When you dread seeing them, that's also a sign you just don't feel like meeting up with this person. And then when you do, my last point is you feel like emotionally drained after spending time with this person. I feel like I have felt all of these at various points in my life with different people.
I totally agree that it's like, it can be hard to identify in the moment for some reason. Like maybe you just like come up with excuses for why this person is acting that way, and so you kind of brush it off as like, oh, they're just going through a phase, or they're really busy, or that's just their personality. And then you realize that it's like actually taking a toll on you and like maybe your self-esteem, or like just how you see yourself, or like the amount of joy that like spending time with them brings you. And then you can like reflect on that. But I like agree with everything you said. I too struggle with like identifying some of these things, and like I think we're both working on it for ourselves. But what you said about like bringing someone to like your other positive friends and like getting an objective like perspective can be helpful.
Yeah.
So like,
they're like, wait a second, they did what? That is not okay. And I'll be like, wait, what? Yeah. That wasn't okay.
Oh my god, same.
I think we're just too nice, and like it's like nice to the point where it's like not a good thing anymore. Like being too nice is like we put ourselves not first.
You like make excuses for people when it's like objectively ridiculous.
Should you talk about specific examples?
We're gonna like list some names right here.
And their Instagram, so you can just like
and their handles, so you can go leave hate comments. Just kidding. That's toxic, y'all. Don't do that.
I do want to say that I have been a toxic friend to some people. Like I do think there are people who would place me in one or more of those categories. One person in particular who I like haven't hung out with in forever.
Yeah.
We worked in the same place, and we're cordial, we're nice. And I think at the time she was very proactive about like wanting to be my friend. She like, you know, would talk to me, and I would, you know, she was nice. I like talk to her, and we like exchange phone numbers. The first time I hung out with her, I remember thinking to myself like, I don't know, like I just don't feel like we're on the same page about everything. And she's very, very nice, very friendly. She's like a great person, but like I just don't know if I would like hang out with her frequently, other than like the place where we worked. But like she kept like reaching out to me, wanting to hang out, and I think we hung out a few more times after that, but like I just didn't really enjoy it. But like there wasn't anything wrong, like she wasn't like being mean to me or anything. And so after a few times I hung out with her and like didn't fully enjoy it, I started like making excuses. I was like, oh, like I'm busy or blah blah blah, and then she would just keep pushing because I think she like didn't get the hint. I think I stayed in Berkeley for a part of that summer, and she like continued to keep reaching out, and I think I like, you know, kept making excuses.
I don't think that's toxic though.
Well, I think at one point she was just like, oh, like when are you free? Like you're so busy. And I was like, I don't know. And like I just kept like not accepting her invite, but like not giving her an alternative. I think there are a couple of different pieces to the situation. Like I think she didn't get the hint.
You were like trying to set a boundary.
Yeah, I guess I was trying to set a boundary.
Getting like the hint.
She wasn't getting the hint. Yeah. And then finally, I think I actually ghosted her. Actually, when my mom came and visited, like we ran into her like on the bar.
No way. Wow.
I was like,
the universe is like, be her friend.
Seriously, like I was honestly, I think I was in the wrong.
So you ghosted her. You weren't like super upfront with her, but you were upfront enough for an early on friendship for her to get the hint.
I don't think I was a good friend to her, but like also.
But you weren't, I don't know, maybe my judgment is off as well. And like maybe this is something you learn later in life where like at the beginning of a friendship, it's kind of like the beginning of dating. It can go either way. You don't know each other yet.
So like in that situation, like what do you do? Like if you meet someone and you like try it out as friends and like one of you like isn't down?
it's hard that she just didn't get the hint, because that's usually how it goes, right? And then it's also kind of like an EQ thing where it's like, okay, like I don't want to bother this girl while she's super busy, her mom's in town, blah blah, but like I do think that we all have the capacity to be toxic friends. I don't know if I think you were a toxic friend in that situation, but this is like a random thought I had, where like, sure, we all have the capacity to be like a positive friend and a toxic friend, but when you're like looking at a friendship and like maybe noticing some of the signs of what you think might be a toxic friend, like they're flaking on you a lot, or they're not as responsive, or they're not like there for you as much, like you have to, I think, at some times be able to differentiate whether that person is actually like being toxic and being a toxic friend, or they're like going through something mentally and emotionally.
Yes.
And I feel like those two like situations can look super similar and warrant very different responses. Like one is distancing yourself and the other is like being understanding and being there for that person regardless of how you feel like they're treating you.
You know, when you've built a friendship and there's a really strong foundation, if they are showing signs of being a shitty friend, like you'll know them well enough to determine like, oh, maybe there's something underlyingly going on. Like,
there's other times where it's like you don't know the ins and outs of each other's like communication styles, or like,
yeah,
or that person just hasn't shared that something is going on and you have no idea. I feel like I've dealt with that a handful of times.
Yeah.
It's like, it seems so similar. Like this person is like you feel kind of like hurt, but then you're like, wait a second, let's like flip this around.
It's different, like versus if someone is like just consistently like not making you feel good about yourself and like not giving you the time or energy or respect that you deserve, that's different.
This is like kind of a segue into, you know, if you do determine that this friend is a toxic friend, how do you go about like cutting that friendship? That's so hard. Don't ghost. That's not
Don't
good.
ghost. Learn from my mistake. I'm still regretting it here years later.
I feel like there's so much language and tools and tips for like romantic breakups, but like not very much for friend breakups.
Friendships are a kind of relationship. They don't happen to be romantic, but they are a relationship, and not all of them work out. I guess at what point, you know, do you think it's time for a relationship to, you know, kind of end, and how does that work?
That is, I was thinking about this a lot, and like I want to start by saying, like, I do think it's so important and like vital for your growth and success and happiness to be able to identify and like cut toxic people from your life, and like put yourself first. And that's not just like friends, that's family, that's like workplaces, that's like dating prospects, that's like anyone. And TBH, like I mentioned before, I feel like I'm not super great at it. And like I was thinking back to when I was like 12 years old in 7th grade, I had just like gone through some stuff, and like my headspace was like shifting and it was different. Also, I was like hormonal in 12, and I became like super savage and had like a zero bullshit tolerance and like cut like 90% of my friends from my life like super harshly. And I was honestly like the happiest I had been up until that point after doing that.
How did you like cut these people off? Like,
I was savage. I was just like, you know, like I thought about it and I feel like you're not bringing like positivity into my life. Or like this one girl who I was actually really close with, I told her that like, even though she thought I was her best friend, that she wasn't my best friend.
So you straight up told these people?
I was like straight up to their faces.
You like,
I had a lot.
Told them?
I told them to their face.
Oh my God. Go you at 12.
Yeah, the stuff that I had gone through basically made me rethink like relationships in my life, where I was like, no, like this is not worth it to have people bring me down. And so I think I found more of a balance since then. Honestly, maybe I'm even more on like the passive side. And so my approach now is very different, where I feel like it's more of like slowly setting boundaries, kind of like what you were doing with that one friend, rather than like to their face being like, this isn't good for me. And I don't know if that's good or bad to like not communicate like that, but like now I'm just trying to get better at boundary setting. And I think setting those boundaries early. Like I've also seen it where you're all of a sudden like hanging out with someone every single day and they like rely on you, and then you realize like, oh, this maybe isn't great for me. I should have set a boundary sooner.
I think that's what
It gets
happened.
harder and harder.
Yeah.
What about you? Like, how would you like go about a friend breakup?
The ones that have happened to me in the past, there were two in particular that I remember very clearly. I don't think I handled it the best, but like I think for both of them, I think one was through email and one was through text. Like, I don't remember what I said, but it was something along the lines of like, this is what a friendship means to me, and like I don't feel that way from you.
I would never do that, and I wish I would now in my life.
Yeah, and it did feel like a breakup. I mean, I didn't cry or anything, but it was just super like heated. I guess I'm proud of myself for like having communicated what I actually felt, because my natural, like my instinct, I think just my natural, what am I trying to say? My natural state is very passive, and I'm, willing to let certain things go just to maintain the homeostasis and like the calm, because then it like affects me, and then I'll talk about it to my friends and they'll be like, they're toxic.
And you'll be like,
Like,
right.
all right. So I guess what we talked about just now, like boundary setting versus burning bridges, those are two like pretty different situations. And like with boundary setting, I feel like you don't have to explain to that person what you're doing. Right?
Yeah.
You're like, hey, you're really draining, so like let's just hang out twice a year. Is that like, it doesn't really need to be that way.
I agree that I don't think that completely burning a bridge is always the best step.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, like I feel like things change and people can change and their role in your life can change. Like there's no reason to like, I don't know, make a huge
deal.
Yeah. I don't know if this was in our list of topics, but like friend breakups in the time of social media. Where like you do still like send memes and like have those light interactions with people. Like what does that mean?
Right. I mean, okay, so every now and then I will go through my like people I'm following and like unfollow stuff that I don't feel is bringing value to my life at the time. And most of the time it's like celebrities or like brands and stuff. But there have been instances where I've unfollowed people, but like it's so tricky because what if that person comes back to you and you're like, oops, or like what are the criteria for unfollowing someone?
I feel like now with the mute button, that should be everyone's go-to, because it all of a sudden now means so much to actively unfollow someone, whereas before it was like no big deal, whatever. Now I feel like if someone finds out you unfollowed them, like just like if you watch Terrace House, it's just like a huge thing where everyone like you're just reading something that you didn't even maybe intend. You just wanted to clear out your feed. I feel like my Instagram's full of people. Like I've muted most people on my Instagram.
Yeah.
Like whatever, like I'll just keep following them. Another thing with social media is that there was this friend who I like low-key thought I like burned a bridge with and was like super toxic. But like this person will still like respond to stories and like send me memes and stuff, and I'm like, what? Like it's just very confusing. It's like so much more complicated than it needs to be. Like we're like the fact that we're thinking about it is just like ridiculous.
And now apparently there are apps where like it tracks like who unfollowed you that day or something.
I know.
I feel like these issues used to happen on Facebook, but like no one's using that now, so it's like all migrated over.
Also on Facebook, you can't unfollow. You have to unfriend, and then it's a mutual.
Oh my god, it's so like even that word, you're unfriending them. So to round out this topic of toxic friendships, the final section is lessons learned over the years. One lesson that I learned from just my own experience is that a once toxic friendship can be revived later on. Like there are two people in college the two people I like actually burned bridges with. I'm really good friends with them now. I think, it's not permanent. Just like, I guess some couples break up and get back together. That can happen for friendships too. Another lesson that I learned is that you don't have to be friends with everyone. So like, someone who's toxic to you and for you might not be toxic to other people in their lives. And like for whatever reason, maybe you two don't get along and that's just the way it is.
No, I agree. I think growing up, and even, I mean, to this day, I feel like a lot of people feel like they need to be liked by everyone and they need to be a good friend to everyone and everyone needs to be their friend. I don't know if this is what you were getting at, but like, I felt like I needed everyone to like me and wanted everyone to think I'm their friend and would like go to far greater extents than I should have to like make someone feel that way. But the older you get, and I'm, you know, the old age of 27, you realize
Oh.
you realize that like there are so many people in the world and people come and go, and your happiness and being a good person for yourself is like number one. And you don't got time to be like thinking about what other people think about you and like letting people impact you in negative ways. It's just like there's no time for that.
And like if someone is like actually causing you stress, and like this is something I have experienced before. Like there are people who like have stressed me out and I felt so much pressure to like be their friend, but it's not worth it. Like you don't have to be friends with everyone. You can still respect each other and not be friends.
Yeah.
I was gonna say something else.
I agree with them. I think the biggest lesson is to DF and to do your own thing and to communicate and not ghost. And that if you can make your friendships positive and not toxic, you're going to be living an abundant, beautiful life with everything you need. It's also nice if you have like a really good, positive friend to like bounce stuff off of, too.
Yeah.
Who knows you really well and
you trust.
Right, and you trust, and you can like kind of be your, what's that word?
Guiding light?
No, but like something like that.
I got really dark right now where you are.
Oh, sorry.
Is it like literally sunset right now?
Yeah, the sun is setting.
So anyway, that was the VODKAST for this week.
I hope y'all enjoyed. I feel like it was kind of rambly and hopefully our thoughts came across, but we would love to hear about your experiences and tips for dealing with toxic friends. I think we're both still learning.
Yeah.
But it's also nice to have each other to like be that person to bounce stuff off of.
We will be coming back next time with a brand new topic, and we will see you then. Thanks for tuning in.